Welcome back. We have got a great session today, okay? So, we've been talking about a bankrupt self-worth. And so when I started to think about a bankruptcy, right? What's happening, right? You are owing creditors. You are in debt to something, right? That there is something that is now you owe, okay? And it's you're in trouble because you can't find a way to pay it back. So you have to file bankruptcy. So the courts can now say blah, 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 that they're going to do this and that for you. And so when we're dealing with a bankrupt self-worth, we are dealing with your self-worth is now in a place where it is being emptied out, where there have been creditors, right, who have come to take. So whether it is abandonment has taken away from your self-worth, rejection has taken away from your self-worth, all these different issues, different traumas, different things that have come along in your life that have taken away from your self-worth, and now you are bankrupt. And so as we've been talking about being bankrupt, we've been talking about being self-aware, because a lot of times we're not even aware that we are bankrupt in our self-worth, that things have now happened in our past, unfortunately. And sometimes the stories that we have either been created for us, narratives that have been told to us, that have now caused us, our self-worth, to be in a place where we feel worthless. We feel like we're not enough. We feel like we are broken in some way. And so as I was thinking about this, as I've been through my own self-worth journey, one of the things that was really something that I had to start to really deal with and work through, and my mentor, who I've mentioned before, Dr. Ursula T. Wright, who was also an amazing, amazing woman who has just poured into me. But one of the things that she really helped me to understand is that I was very critical. And even as I went into therapy, that was something that my therapist talked to me about, is how critical I was of myself. And basically, let's just boil it down. It was judgmental. And I was very judgmental of other people. And so when I started thinking about that, I started thinking about other J's associated with having a bankrupt self-worth. And so being judgmental is something that we do when we are dealing with self-worth issues. Being jealous, having to be justified. And so we'll get into the other J's in other sessions, but today I just want to focus on being judgmental. And so you might say, well, that makes no sense. When you're feeling worthless, then you're not really being critical or of other people, because how could you? But you are, because you feel so much judgment yourself, because you judge yourself. Your inner dialogue is so critical. And remember, that's one of the things that we talked about when we talked about your self-awareness. We talked about how that inner dialogue is one way to become more self-aware. And so when you're listening to your inner dialogue, how critical are you? Think about what you're saying to yourself. And I always use this, and you'll see other coaches and individuals say that if your inner dialogue is talking to you in a way that you wouldn't talk to your best friend, what's happening here? You need to think about that. You need to take a step back and start to reframe what you're saying to yourself. Start to reframe the story that you're telling yourself. So, for example, you all have already heard me tell 1,000 times about my math issues, right? And so when I would get something wrong, I would be so hard on myself. I would be calling myself stupid and you idiot, and how could you do that? That just was so dumb. And I would go into a spiral. Anybody know about a spiral? where you continue. And then the next thing that goes wrong, it just piles up. And now you just continue in this downward spiral where it's, I can't get anything right. Why am I always getting this wrong? What is wrong with me? And a lot of times that ends up into this place of, I know for me, eventually my response was depression. Okay? So I was very moody when I was younger. And because a lot of times my response to my inner dialogue, just hammering, man, beating up on me so bad, my response a lot of times was depression. And then sometimes my response to that critic was anger. And so in turn, now I'm very judgy of others because there is this internal standard that I have that my inner critic is like hammering me about, right? And it's not that we shouldn't have standards, but a lot of times when we are dealing with self-worth issues, our standards have become hypercritical, okay? They become very, they're very overwhelming at times because we place ourselves in a place of perfection. Like, I have to be perfect in order to be loved. I cannot be broken. I cannot have this. I cannot have that. And so it becomes distorted. That's the word I was looking for. Now your internal standards have become distorted, okay? And so that is now distorted with other people. Now you're very critical of other people. You call other people stupid and dumb, right? You call other people, and something that I had to work on and still work on sometimes, because now that I've learned how to be less critical of myself, I have to extend that to others. And so when we're dealing with those self-worth issues, blah, 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 now we are very hypercritical and harsh with other people. So we are judgy of them, right? We are not only might be calling them names, we might be holding them to standards. You know, one of the things that I did, and I had a professor talk to me about this, is I used to place people on a pedestal. So you had to be here. And if you weren't here, once you fell off, baby, you was done. It was over for you, honey. Because Kiki was done. You fell off. Your rainbow, your golden horse, your little fleece was now tainted. And I'm done. Because I would hold people to a standard that even, of course, I couldn't live up to, but I was trying to, and I wanted other people to, because it meant that I could be loved, that I was worthy, that I was not broken. See what I'm saying? So, when you're dealing with that judginess, right, one of the key things that you have got to start to do is to be more self-compassionate. That is so key when it comes to self-worth issues and being judgmental. Because as you begin to have compassion for yourself, it will extend to others. But you got to start with you. That judgmental attitude, that critical nature is not going to begin to subside until you start to apply that self-compassion to yourself. Till you start to say, you know what, Key, it's okay. It's all right that you made a mistake. See what I mean by reframing? Instead of saying, you're so stupid. No, you know what? I made a mistake and it's okay. You know what? I didn't live up to that value. You know, I didn't live up to, like if you lie, you know what? I shouldn't have lied. I should have told the truth. I will not do that again. Instead of just hammering yourself up, oh, you're so awful, you're this terrible person. Because now all the stories, right, that have told your self-worth that it's garbage are now going to start hammering home. So think about, what would I say to my friend? Would I say that my friend is stupid? No, I would tell my friend, listen, you're going to be okay. It's all right. It's not a big deal. So you got to start doing that for yourself. And then the next thing you've got to do is you've got to have some understanding Understand where you are. That's why self-awareness is so important. You've got to understand, okay, this is an area that I got to work on, and be okay with it. Having areas to work on does not mean that you're awful or that you're broken. It just means it's an area I got to work on. So being understanding of where you are, and then most important, be patient. Listen, what do they say? Rome wasn't built in a day. Honey, your self-worth issues are not going to be built in a day. I'm going to be 50. And it took me this long in my journey. Some people, it goes a little bit faster. Others, it may not. Be patient with yourself. Day by day, apply that self-compassion. Understand where you are and be patient with yourself. It's going to get better. You're going to be better. And you're going to see and be the woman that you always wanted to be. Love you guys. Listen, Coach Key, if you need help, if you say, you know what, Coach Key, I need help walking through this self-worth journey. Listen, go ahead and contact me. Go to our website. It's included at the bottom of the video. I would love to hear your feedback. I would love, if you're like, listen, I'm dealing with this issue. I'd like for you to talk about it. Let me know. I'm here for you. Until next time.